Okay, so excited. We are jumping in. So we'll just wait a few more minutes as people start to filter in. But ladies, as you're filtering in, please let us know your name, where you're tuning in from. If you got a drink, I got me some water with some lemon. Monet, I think I saw you sipping something. What are you sipping over there?
You know, my lifeline is hot tea with honey and lemon and ginger.
We got to, can you hear the tunes? I'm playing a little.
Yes, right here. I hear it. It's said, oh yeah, I'm drinking.
Salud. Nice. Okay, Ethel's in New York. What's up? New York in the house. We got Mexico. We got New York. Who else we have on the line tuning in? Drop your name, where you're tuning in from. If you got something in your glass, let us know. And we'll probably get started in 2 minutes. We have a lot to dive into this evening, and I'm so excited to be here with Monae to talk about it. You know, it goes deeper than just beauty and trying to be cute for COVID-19. We are getting deep, okay? And talking about a lot of the issues affecting the African-American community, a lot of the issues affecting the industry as a whole, and then even just us personally. So we're gonna like really get into it this evening. All right, so Lucy got her green juice with ginger. That's what I'm talking about, keeping it healthy, keeping it classy and cute. And also, tonight, ladies, we will have a Q&A session at the end of the conversation. And so once we kind of get through the conversation, I ask that you, all of your videos, the video is off for you guys, as well as your microphone is off. So if you have questions, just drop them in the chat so you don't forget about them. Or at the bottom of your screen, there is a Q&A box. You can drop your questions in the Q&A box, and we'll make sure to get to them at the end during the Q&A session, okay? So I see Marissa's on the line from Jersey. What's up, girl? Sipping some white wine. All right, I ain't got no wine today, but I do have a little water. All right, awesome. So again, as everyone's jumping on, please drop your name, where you're tuning in from. If you're sipping anything, let us know. I know we got Mexico on the line. We got New York. We got New Jersey. And Monet, you're in New York, right? Right now?
I am. I'm in Brooklyn. Brooklyn, stand up.
Brooklyn in the house. Well, I'm in Jersey, so another Jersey girl. And Monet, I know a lot of people have been just kind of either displaced or went to stay with family. So, you know, I was just wondering where exactly you were located.
Yeah. I almost decided to go home to the DMV area with my family, but I said, you know what? I'm gonna be a big girl and I'm gonna wait it out. But you know, as we were saying earlier, we thought it would be a few days, a couple of weeks. I did not think like we're in month 2 of this.
Yeah, man. I mean, life tends to continue to surprise us. I think one thing this has all taught all of us is nothing is certain. Yes. We don't necessarily have the control that we thought we had. Okay. Mm-hmm. Literally, anything is possible, right? Because honestly, if someone would have told me in December, oh, in a couple of months, no basketball or sports on TV. No one will be allowed to work. Everyone will be shut in. You won't be allowed to go to the beach and do any of these things. I would have never believed that, right? So
yeah, it's like the books we read in school and the movies. Like, you know, you're reading the books and watching the movies. Like, how could that ever happen? That would never happen. It's happening.
It's happening. All right, so let's jump on in. I'm going to pause our little music playlist because we are going to get down to business, ladies. As I mentioned, you know, welcome this evening, guys. I'm so excited. And as people continue to filter in, I see a few new people have started to filter in. Lucy, I see you said it's like an apocalypse movie.
Yes, it is.
It really, really is. So as you guys start to filter in, please drop your name in the comment box, where you're tuning in from, and if you are sipping anything in your glass, because we are about to get started on our conversation this evening. And so, as I mentioned, I am just super excited, and I know a few of you guys put your thumbs up that you can see and hear us, but if at any point something's a little fuzzy, or you can't see or hear us, please just let us know, and we'll, you know, make the adjustments as needed. Asia, I see Asia's on the line from my fair. Shout out to Asia. And so again, just a few housekeeping rules. We will have a Q&A session towards the end. So if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat or in the Q&A box at the bottom for those of you who just joined, and we'll be sure to get to them during our Q&A session. So before we get into the conversation, I want to welcome everybody to the very first 2020 Impact Conversations digital event. Woo-hoo-hoo. My name is Car Charisse. For those of you who don't know, I am the founder and creator of Pretty Passionate. I am an elevation strategist and former New York City marketing professional. Having worked with media companies such as The Source Magazine, 17 Magazine, OK Magazine, Complex, iHeartRadio, and most recently, I was at Essence, where I was there for 4 years, and I held the position as Associate Director of Integrated Marketing. Before taking one of my biggest leaps into full-time entrepreneurship, working on my brand, Pretty Passionate. And I'm also one half of the founding members of 2020, the 2020 Impact Movement, which you'll learn more about this evening and as time goes on. And so I'm really excited to be diving in with you guys tonight as we talk about building a visionary brand in unprecedented times with our special guest, who I will introduce you guys to very, very shortly. But just in short, I wanted to run by you guys what 2020 Impact is and what that movement is. And the 2020 Impact Movement is basically an initiative that myself started along with my co-founder, and the aim is really to help 2,020 plus women pick up the pieces during this worldwide pandemic so that we not only survive it, but we come out thriving, right? And not only to change our world, not only thrive to be a better version of who we are, but also change the world around us. Because I think that there's a very unique opportunity in what we're faced with right now. Even with a lot of the struggle and pain that we're facing, there is a very unique opportunity in a space for us to shift our perspective right now. And so again, this is crazy times, but we have two opportunities right now, right? We can kind of be crushed in fear, or we can rise in power. And so 2020 Impact, we are aiming to help us all come together collectively on how we can rise in that power. And then also, really shining a lens on what's happening in the African American community, right? And so as we know, and I'm sure you guys have all seen on the headlines, in the African American community, as well as the Latina, a lot of the urban communities, we are getting, those communities are getting hit very hard with COVID-19, and we're seeing a lot of people who are being affected by it, as well as dying from it. So 2020 Impact, a large of our effort is really to figure out how we can come together to really show up and help our community move forward. And 2020 Impact is also a division of Pretty Passionate, which is my brand. It's a global personal development company helping women overcome fear and doubt and all of those things that keep us stuck from harnessing our passion and our purpose and being able to step fully into that, which I've done, and create a life that we love, create a thriving business. And so that's what Pretty Passionate is, and 2020 Impact. And so again, I am so excited to be here with you guys. So without further ado, I am going to introduce our lovely, lovely guest for the evening. And again, before I introduce Monae, feel free to take a screenshot, take a video recording, or a cute little boomerang of the conversation and tag us on social media. And actually, I am going to drop Monae's Instagram handle here, as well as mine, in the chat box here, so that you guys can tag us, so that we can all come together collectively and as a community, and we can cheer each other on, and really make noise to what's happening on this side of the internet with 2020 Impact. But really, it's a call and an invitation for us all to get involved, right? We've seen celebrities take a stand. We've seen the Black media take a stand, but what can we do in our own communities and locally? And I think there's a great opportunity for us all to come together here. So, and again, let's take it away. Let's talk to Monae, who is our lovely, lovely guest for the evening. Monae is a keynote speaker. She is a diversity advocate, a celebrity hairstylist, and a hair visionary. And it's so amazing because I've worked with Monae a few times over the past 4 years being at Essence. And she always kept this hair laid, honey. And obviously I worked behind the scenes in marketing and entertainment, integrated marketing, kind of leading the charge on the marketing campaigns, but I also had unique opportunities to be in front of the camera. So Monae was always my girl whenever I needed to make something happen. But hey girl.
Hey. Thank you for having me. Yes, not only is she a marketing specialist and can run everything behind the scenes, she's a supermodel as well. Yes, ma'am. Let them know.
We know. So Monae, I think I did a lot of the overarching introduction in terms of just your amazing presence, you know, being a keynote speaker, being a diversity advocate. I know for as long as I've known you, you expressed a lot about just diversity in the beauty industry, and obviously working with amazing celebrities, working with amazing media companies and campaigns. But take us a little deeper into your background, your history, how you got started, and what it is that you do right now.
Well, I have been a hairstylist for almost 18 years. Went to cosmetology senior year in high school, freshman year in college. Everybody was talking about being broke in college. I didn't think they were funny. So let me, get a hustle. And I thought I would just hustle and do a little hair on the side until I graduated. I actually went to school for communications and radio. But when I graduated, I was like, no, this is awesome. And I found out there are a lot of other aspects to the beauty industry. Like most people only know about working in the salon. You don't know about photo shoots, working with celebrities, travel, being a scientist for brands to try out products. So, that really was my interest, photo shoots and working with celebrities, but I've grown to learn about advertisements, photo shoots with magazines, being a product spokesperson. And in all of my learning and understanding about the beauty industry, I, experienced some harsh parts. I learned about, the racism and misogyny in the beauty industry as well after I moved to New York. And it's funny, I started my career in the DC area, which, was considered the South. And it wasn't really a thought process. But when I moved to New York, I learned. I learned that there was a not so beautiful side. So one of the things that I do is I help artists who want to elevate their career and become celebrity hairstylists or do photo shoots or anything else to lead the charge in their career. And I also do keynote speaking, and my focus is diversity and inclusion in the beauty industry. I just want to see us rise up and do as well as we like to do. I want us to decide our levels, not have someone to decide them for us.
Amen, honey. Say it
yes,
again.
Absolutely.
I love that. I love that. And I think it's needed, right? In the beauty industry, especially working in beauty when I was a part of the advertising world. And there's so many stones unturned, so many things that people need to be educated on across the board when it comes to Black beauty, hair and makeup. So I think what you are doing is amazing and you're needed. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
So let's dive on into it. So as a person who's been in the industry for a while, I'm sure something like this, you've worked with media outlets and celebrities, but I'm sure this is the first time you've experienced, and like you said, with everything, the struggles and the challenges of being in the industry, I'm sure this is the first time you've seen the industry or having to go through something like this of this magnitude that's come
Absolutely.
from.
Absolutely. Yes, because the entire world is shut down. But some of the things I speak to are the challenges. So yes, the whole world is shut down now. But I remember one year I didn't understand reaping and sowing. I wasn't sewing as much as I should have. And I remember one year people started telling me, like, in October, we'll reconsider working with you in the new year. So I remember one year going about almost 5 months without really working because I simply didn't understand the business aspects. I thought if I went to work and I did a great job, of course they'll bring me back. I didn't understand, how to prepare, how to make sure I'm always on the top of their mind, how to keep working and make myself appear busy even if I'm not working that day. So there were a lot of things I missed. So yeah, the world is shut down now, but my world has been shut down before.
Yeah.
So it made me prepare. It made me always know that anything can happen. It doesn't matter if your book is full, your schedule could be full of appointments and they can all cancel, or it can be empty and you can work. But the only thing I know for sure is this girl is going to save, prepare, and make sure that I added something to the job to where you feel like you need me when I'm there.
That's powerful. I think that's really, really powerful, because I think a lot of people depend on their talent alone to ride them out versus all of the extra work that they have to do in the back end. Like you said, the follow-ups, and to stay top of mind and putting yourself out there. And we'll dig a little bit into that later on in the conversation in terms of how, like, what advice you have for someone who wants to, you know, stay top of mind, and especially during this time, without seeming too insensitive or, you know, self-care and stuff like that. So we'll dive into that later on in the conversation. But
oh, good, because I got tips. I got tips.
Girl, I know you do. And then especially too for, you know, and I'm sure this will be helpful, because I know I have a few members in the Pretty Passionate Insider Network who are makeup artists, who are hairstylists, who are even models, you know, and so I'm sure some of your tips, or people who are looking to get back into modeling, so I'm sure some of the tips you have will translate across all of those sectors. And so with that being said, knowing that this is obviously probably one of the hardest or craziest situations that you've seen thus far in the industry, I know with any crisis comes great change. And so I also know that change can be beautiful, right?
Absolutely.
But it also can be a scary process. So share with us how has change during this pandemic has been both beautiful and scary for you.
Well, it's scary because we just have no idea what tomorrow's going to bring. It's scary because just emotionally getting past the part of you can be victimized, that can be paralyzing to many people. So kudos to you if you're even able to deal with the fact that things that we don't enjoy are happening outside. Like I know people who simply in their head will not take any precautions or deal with the fact that they can be victimized. So if you won't take any precautions for your health, then that means you're making yourself more likely to be victimized. So, but I do have sensitivity to that, and I do recognize that you have to take care of yourself emotionally, mentally, physically, and all of that kind of winds up into one. So I do want to, you know, shout that out before I move forward. I'm also always in a state of exploring how can I live the life that I want to live? How can I be indispensable? How can I go to the next level? And for years, I don't let a month go by without taking classes. I'm always listening to podcasts. I'm finding people like you who are giving out information. So I've been in a pivot for a while. And, you know, this hit me hard. I had booked keynote speeches at a couple of universities and a few others. I was finally feeling like my pivot was working, and all of it got canceled now. So I had to go back, find these people, let them know what else I can offer. But the most important thing I don't want to skip over is I had to emotionally and mentally prepare for a new battle. So, hey, you know that great game plan that you had that was working?
Right.
Throw that way, girl. We ain't doing that no more. No more. Let's come up with something else.
Right, right. You know, I think it's beautiful because as someone who is kind of used to being in a space where some months aren't certain, right? And you don't know what's going to come, and or someone who's constantly looking to better themselves and take classes and better your skills, you almost started to or have been preparing yourself your entire life for a moment such as this, because now you have a bag that you can pull into and say, hey, well, you don't need your hair done, but I can speak about this on virtual, or I can teach a class about this, or you don't need to. So you literally, because you've taken your personal development so serious, and you're always trying to grow, even when you didn't necessarily had to, right? You were booked and busy, I'm sure, at some points in the industry with top celebrities. I mean, I see your Instagram page, girl. So I think it's so commendable and such a beautiful thing to also know that you can still grow, you can still elevate, but not only go up in what you're doing, but go wide, right? And look for other things, and look for other things to do, so that in a moment like this, you have a bag to pull out of and say, hey, this is how I can also add value. So I think that's really, really powerful.
Yeah, and let me give a more clear answer to that, because I might have been slightly evasive. Just like you said, you had started working towards this for a while. Last year, I launched the Monae Life Academy, where I teach people who want to do hair for photo shoots. So I'm really proud that in a time like this, you know, where I'm getting a lot of DMs, people are thinking about changing their careers or adding to it, I can say, hey, if you head over to the MonaeLife.com, there are classes, they're 50% off. You watch them as you want. You always have access to it. I teach you how to network. I teach you how to get photo shoots. I teach you the hairstyling skills. A lot of people don't realize, like, I literally had a girl DM me yesterday and was like, I don't need classes. Just give me your contact list.
Oh, okay.
But a lot of people feel that way. And let me tell you, there's a lot more marketing, there's a lot more business, there's a lot more etiquette and presentation. And if you think I'm saying presentation and I mean literally what outfit you wore, that means that you really do need some help in these areas. If you live in a major city like New York or LA, where for the US, that's where everything pops, the assumption is that you're great at what you do. And yeah, you'll find people that aren't. And if you find people that aren't, I find a lot of us get stuck up in, excuse me, I can do better than this. I could do that. I could have done this. So if they aren't so good, why do they have those jobs? And you don't.
Right.
There's something more that they offer. And maybe the hair wasn't popping in that photo shoot, but maybe they were able to take a back seat because something else on set was happening. I'll take a back seat. I'm not going to fight. We're going to get these images done.
Yeah, no, beautiful. I think that, you know, it's powerful, and especially being in New York City, right? Around such a competitive market, so many people, you know, there's tons of opportunity, but then there's tons of, like, it's the mecca of where people come to get these opportunities. So there's so much power in that, obviously, you know, for sure. And so I want to talk a little bit about, and I know we talked about this and it's probably, you know, evident, but how have you seen the industry as someone in the industry, right? And so I see the industry from afar. We see the headlines, maybe if we're paying attention to the beauty industry, but how have you seen the industry from the perspective of someone who's in it, and whether it's industry-wide or just personally, you know, other people that you know, how have you seen them be affected by what's happening with the pandemic?
I've seen a lot of effects. So yes, I work mainly with celebrities and advertising, but you know, that's my sisters and brothers in the regular hood beauty and barbershop, because all of us are working hard to take care of ourselves and our families. The assumption is that if you do celebrity hair, you're making all of this money. So the assumption is that I am not affected, you know, by losing out on money. That's not, all of us are affected in that way. Also, some of us are overlooking, like, so people are working in salons and barbershops and they're dying from it. They're being exposed to COVID and they're dying. And I have done quite a few interviews and articles on that, and people want me to say how horrible they are, but we're not walking a mile in their shoes. Think about how hard their life has to be, that they are willing to risk it to be able to stockpile food and other added, other life necessities. Is a privilege. Everybody is not able to do that. Yeah. My recommendation, I would love for all of us to be safe enough to stay indoors. I'm simply not going to condemn them. To get back to how it has affected me, we've lost a few industry pioneers. I've lost top jobs. And, you know, there is a worry that out of sight, out of mind. So I don't know what my career is going to look like. I might take another pivot when things come back. I love doing the interviews and the lives and the Zooms. So I'm super excited about that. I get to do way more of those. That's awesome. I am giving my professional opinion to a lot of magazines. I am making sure to diversify and reach out to general market hair magazines. And they're actually paying more attention now to the styles that we create on non-white hair. So I'm just finding any way possible to kind of rock and roll, because, you know, it's easy to sleep for 16 hours a day. But you got to have something to wake up to. I'm telling you, it's all about reaping what you sow. If you don't take the time to sow, I guarantee you will not reap.
Yes. Amen. Amen. And, you know, and we're going to, this is getting so juicy, because we're going to get into that actually later in the conversation. But I wanted to touch on it a little bit because, you know, we see so many conversations happening on social media. Social media. I have like a love-hate relationship with social media. And I think that's how you use it, right? You can either be on social media or you could use social media. And different ways to approach it. And so I like to use social media. But we see so many messages and, you know, such as, oh, be still, be productive, be busy, learn a new skill. The world is coming to an end. And we see so many messages in it. While I know that these messages, all of them are relevant, because it's just depending on the person and where you are in your life and in that season, right? And so you may be a person who needs to be still. You may be a person who needs to rest, or who needs to be productive, or who needs to figure out a routine. And so I wanted to ask you, how have you been able to navigate that in this time and manage what is the correct message for you in this season?
Well, I like to tell the truth, because a lot of people get on these things and lie. Your girl can sleep like it is the Sleep Olympics. So I am literally at a point in life where I'm on the opposite schedule, where I'm up literally all night into the morning and then sleep during the day. And for so many years, I've given myself a hard time. I'm just not a morning person. I'm a night person. But at this point, I'm like, you know what? Maybe if I don't give myself a hard time and I work on my natural sleep cycle, then I can be more productive when I do something. Other day, I painted an image and it made me feel amazing. I actually felt something in my heart that was different than how I feel when I do hair. Like, I love doing hair. I love public speaking. But I felt like, wow, I took absolutely nothing and made it something. Anybody that I work with is something before I start. You get what I'm saying? So there's a difference. I'm leaning more into, okay, maybe my way might not be everybody else's way, but it's my way. And something you just said about social media that really sparked me, that I never thought about before. I believe that there was kind of a slow revolt happening for social media. Like when Instagram got rid of the like count and everything, people were looking at the depression social media calls and stuff. And I think we were really turning away. Like, a lot of Gen X doesn't even have Facebook or different social media. There was a huge revolt. But now the world fell apart. And what do we all need? Social media.
Yes. Oh.
And I never even thought about that before, like, way to show your necessity. So if you can apply that to yourself, a skill that you have, that you were not sure how the world felt about it, and try it in this new market, you might get a different result.
Yeah. Wow. Whoa. Wait, that's kind of
that literally came to mind when you were talking about social media.
Whoa. You know what? That's so powerful. And it kind of was like a mind blown moment for me, because although I know that, but for you to say that and make it so crystal, because I feel right now, sometimes we get ideas, or we get visions, we get projects that are before its time.
Absolutely.
Right? And you put it out this year and people ain't feeling it, but you can put it out in 2 years and the world is ready for it. Right? They're hungry for it. And I think right now, especially, I've seen a lot. I'm very spiritual. I'm very connected to God, and we love God and everything, right? And very like spiritual, whatever your belief is. But now in this season, we're seeing it plastered all over the place, right? It's on the news, and we're trying to find more ways to get in touch with our spirituality. And I've seen, just different brands and different businesses being born that are connected to spirituality even more, because right now the world is ready for it and they're hungry for it. And media, they're looking for new ways to connect and new content to consume. And so I think it's so powerful what you said in terms of, playing around with that idea that you've had and now putting it in the world and seeing what the response is.
Exactly. You just never know.
Absolutely. Wow, that's major. I hope you guys are taking notes. Drop stuff in the comment box. If something is resonating with your soul, quote us, post on social media, let us know. Let us know what's happening over here.
And if you're going to screenshot, let us know so that we can prepare, so that we can pose. Flick.
Okay, so going back to the industry and to obviously COVID-19, what type of long-term effects do you think this will have on the industry? And I mean, I know right now we're in a space of not having answers, and we probably don't even really know, but just in terms of some of the trends that you've seen or what you're hearing, or what you're even experiencing, what do you think some of the long-term effects will be as you continue to conduct in your business?
I do think that we are going to use more sanitary skills. So licensed cosmetologists have always cleaned their combs. We've always used Clorox, Barbicide, and things like that. But the chummy, the fake kissy, all of the hugs, I do think are going to be minimized because I don't think this form of flu is going away. This coronavirus, I do think it's here to stay, and we're going to have to make some changes with that. And the mask is interesting because when I worked in a salon 15 years ago, my doctor told me I need to be wearing a mask. And I just felt like, it looks so weird. Like either everybody's wearing a mask or nobody's wearing a mask. So now I'm like, okay, I guess he was on to something. In terms of my bookings, I think it's going to be a slow start because I think that many entertainers are going to be nervous about flying. They're going to be nervous about traveling. But now that I'm thinking about it, the upside for me may be that sometimes artists or entertainers will book different hair and makeup artists in each city or regionally. The upside may be they may want me to go with them, keep one person's germs with you. So you never know.
Yeah, so and, like long-term contracts and things of that nature, in kind of almost having like a set, you have like long-term contracts. So I'm gonna be with this person for 6 months or 5 months or whatever the case that looks like. No, that's
because when the economy crashed before, it was like a pseudo crash from September 11th to 2008 when it was like wavering. The whole entertainment industry changed. Like the rates were slashed down to a fourth, and they blamed it on September 11th or the economy crashing. Well, the economy is crashing now, so we might have to pivot back. You cannot slice our rates any lower. Let me tell you. What artists used to make for the jobs we do now was so much higher. And now at this point, companies can't lie and say that you can't work from home for people who don't do what I do. They can't lie and say, oh, it's just easier to book a different artist in every city. I do think we're going to get more competitive as artists. I think your all-around presentation is going to matter more because if they're choosing to take me on a longer term contract, my personality is going to really matter. Like, I go off on tangents, but I know on one of the lives that I did, I talked about one of the things that I did not know, and I might step on a nerve here, but I never paid attention to the fact that you need to be in somewhat decent shape to do what I do. I worked with an entertainer who was not in the best outward shape that you would look at, but she was strong as hell. Girl, she had us climb the side of a mountain for a photo shoot.
Girl, and meanwhile you got a kit, you got
I got a kit and everything. We climbed. It wasn't completely, but it was like this. And the makeup artist couldn't keep up. The makeup artist never came back.
Wow.
I don't think just because she couldn't climb it. I think because her personality was not very welcoming during the time.
Because she probably moaning and groaning, fussing, being,
Yeah. And just little things that are part of the full package. Trust and believe a lot of people are in better shape than me. But that's just something else when I say a part of the full presentation. It's a part of it. Just a little tip that fell out my mouth.
Listen, you guys hear that? Like this is gold. So if I got any makeup artists, any hairstylists on the line, people who are even in spas, if you do like waxing or facials, even like models. I know there's some people who are models or and kind of in that space. Monae is saying something really real here, and I think as you guys start to think about your business and moving forward, think about how can you put a structure in place like long-term contracts, or start to think about how you can model your business around it, and maybe even get ahead of it and start reaching out to some clients and even pitching that to them, right? Saying, hey, I'm clean. I know you clean. What do you think about doing this? So getting ahead of that curve. Also even thinking about just being the full package, right? So obviously having a positive attitude, maybe getting in the gym a little bit, maybe
that endurance.
All right, that endurance. And it's so interesting you say that, because I talk about this all the time. And like, if anybody follows me on social media, you know I am in the gym. I am all about in the gym, and it's bigger to me than just having a nice body, right? It's about the endurance. It's about the strength. It's about the discipline. Because if you can do that, I say this all the time, if you can do that in that area, you can do that in a lot of other areas of your life.
Yeah.
I talk about this a lot with my Pretty Passionate Insider Network members as well. And it's like, to live your dream, you want to be able to do it to the highest, fullest potential capacity in any situation you're thrown in, that you can hang with the toughest person in that bunch. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
you can outlast them. And that's whether climbing the side of a mountain, or if you gotta stand up for 15 hours on a shoe, if you gotta carry heavy bags and stuff like that. And so what you just said here was like some gems. So if anyone's on the line, Monae just dropped it all down, and I think it's something that you can start to get ahead of with your clients.
I almost had an out-of-body experience thinking back to those few days.
Oh, climbing a mountain? Woo.
Yes. Yeah, it was literally climbing a mountain. And the only reason I bring up the entertainer is because you would look at her and never think that she would do anything like that. Homegirl did her thing and then flip-flops and was like, come on, guys. Come on, guys. Let's do it. So
wow, that's amazing. Girl, woo, kudos to you for that one. I bet you learned after that when you started lifting weights again, right? For the next
that
time
endurance is real.
Okay, so I saw a headline recently, you know, as it relates to the beauty industry, and they're basically saying, you know, the headline said something along the lines of, the coronavirus is majorly impacting the beauty industry, as we know, as people are turning to DIY services at home. Right. And so, you know, even myself, I'm like, I love doing my nails, and since Corona, I haven't been able to get them done. So I've been doing them myself. And I started to even think, like, do I even need to get them done? You know, so as we think about that, but in a new report, I think it was a data report from Poshly, it revealed that both cosmetic retailers and beauty service workers are facing unprecedented challenges to keep their businesses running as usual, which we know. So I know that you are one, and we just talked about it briefly, who's always developing her skills, right? You're always diversifying the value that you add to the world and to your industry. You're not just doing hair, right? I've seen you, like you said, you do digital classes, you host classes, you do keynote speaking, as you've been leaning into building this visionary brand for so long. So right now, this pandemic has bubbled up a lot of that to the surface for a lot of beauty professionals to now shift in their businesses, right? And to start, people who were only doing, you know, hair, and not that it's a bad thing, but they've only leaned into that space. Now they're looking at doing classes, creating digital products, tapping into the intellectual property, right? And thinking about creative ways to keep their businesses moving. So what are some ways that you have been forced to pivot in your business, or some ways that you've seen like your colleagues and friends in the industry pivot in their business?
Well, many years ago, I started a YouTube channel, and I have almost 4 million views, and it's under my username at Monae Artistry. So I was an early adapter to YouTube and the DIY. I even have a book out called Stunning Braids, where I teach 25 different hairstyles, 25 different braided hairstyles for all occasions and all hair textures that you can do on your own. You know,
love it.
When you come to the salon, let's say every 2 weeks, some might be every 2 months, you give your hairstylist your hair for that time. They are to make sure that everything is great, but you have your hair all of the rest of the days. You need to be able to do your own. My YouTube channel teaches you how to keep your hair healthy, different things to try, what type of chemicals, how they're applied, so that you'll know when you go to the hairstylist. I don't think you should be doing your own chemicals, because that'll lead, and that's not simply a money thing, but that can lead to a world of hurt if you're doing your own chemicals. You know, something as little as, oh, I just wanted to cover my gray hair with black. Why is it green? Go to a professional. You won't have that problem.
Yeah.
So I'm loving seeing other beauty professionals really get up and get out there and stop fighting the DIY crowd and want to get a hold of it. And I just laugh, because I'm like, oh, they were the bane of your existence a year ago. Now you're like, give me some of this money. Give me some of this money.
Right.
So, you know, my thing has always been, like, I started a group, Beauty Professionals on YouTube. I think there should have been more beauty professionals on YouTube giving out good advice. When clients didn't feel heard in the salon, they went to YouTube and they said, we will create our own community here because these hairstylists are talking at us, and not teaching us and not showing us, and I feel stupid or unappreciated when I go. So unfortunately, it was a kick to the head for many artists, and they're just now seeing there's an upside. You can retail to your own clients. You can teach your clients, the right way. And the thing with that is, the more you educate your client, the more likely they are to come back. So like you mentioned, doing your own nails. You're going to do, anybody there, you've always sold nail polish at the store. Everybody says, I'll do my own nails. But when they go get them done, they're like, but it don't look like this. I gotta come back. You need to make yourself look decent and presentable.
Right.
But that artist is supposed to have skill at a level that's so high that when you look at it, you say, I could never.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
When I do your hair like one of the things that differentiates me from a hairstylist in a salon is I make your hair look amazing for photos. Two very different things. But I can make you look amazing for photos without making it look like you've been in the salon for hours. So that's my specialty. So you can do a ponytail on your own hair and look really nice, sweetheart. But when I do it, it's supposed to be like, God damn, how she laid this pony like this.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying? You don't, as a hairstylist, I don't need a client that looks a mess every time. And I'm gonna drop another gem for you.
Y'all catching this? I hope y'all, sorry to cut you off. I hope y'all catching these gems. If you're a makeup artist, if you're a hairstylist, if you're a nail technician, your clients can do it, but you need to make them feel like, damn, I gotta go back to this person to get it done. Sorry, go ahead.
Exactly. So, oh my God, I might have forgot my point.
I'm sorry.
Girl, these thoughts come in like this and go out like that. Okay, so I was saying that I make the hair look more photo worthy. That is my specialty. Oh, here's what I was gonna say. Learn your clients, right? As a hairstylist, you don't need a client that looks a mess every time they're not in your chair. That's not a good reflection of you. As a celebrity artist, if I have a client that doesn't like looking done up, I need to make them look like the best version of themselves. They don't ever want somebody to walk up to them and say, my God, your hair is just amazing. Well, what about my face? What about my acting? What about my voice? What about my outfit? Tip, this is a tip, and this is a hard tip on the ego. They want somebody to come up to them and say, oh my God, you look amazing. If you make it all about the hair, they're never gonna love it. Your hair has to be the same level with the makeup, with their clothes, with the personality. I'm telling you, I have had that conversation, and it's a hard conversation to have.
Yeah.
Because they've worked many years honing their skills as well. They're not giving it away to the hairstylist.
Yeah. Wow.
And all of them looks amazing or not just the hair. Unless they come to you and say, look, this dress ain't doing me right. Do the hair up. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Other than that, you learn your clients. That was just a gem that just fell out of nowhere, you know.
Keep passing them, keep dropping them. And, you know, I never thought about that. And, you know, and even working with you and now thinking back, whenever I'm in your chair and you're doing my hair or have done my hair in the past, you're like, okay, what are you wearing? What is this going to be? Where is this going to live? What's your makeup going to look like? Because again, that's where being a hair visionary comes in, right? Because you can visually see how the package is going to come together.
Absolutely.
It's just doing your own thing, and it's not relating to anything else.
Oh yeah, like they will compliment you on doing your own thing, and you'll be sitting home wondering, things went so well. How come I never heard back from them?
Yeah. Wow. No,
it's not about you, it's about the client.
That's really, really good. And so I know we are talking a lot about how this pandemic has negatively impacted our lives, and, you know, maybe the industry. So have you seen any positive impacts that it has made?
Some positive impacts I've seen on COVID-19 shutting down our industry is people paying more attention to being sanitary. people paying more attention to their cleanliness, people paying attention to their life plan and career plan, people deciding individually what is more important for them to focus on at this moment. Is it family and or career?
Yeah.
And if career is a part of that, they're paying more attention to, where do I want my career to go? Do I want to have to work at sweat equity all the time, meaning every time I make $1, I had to press out hair for it. I had to do a movement. I had to put physical energy. Do I want to find another stream of income where I can make passive income at home? Do I enjoy people knowing about my skills, or do I enjoy being in the background? Do I enjoy working as an individual and only depending on me versus being a member of the team? And, you know, I've grown to understand and accept that there are some people that are very driven and want to be in the front, which is probably more of a me. But more than anything, you need those people in the background who don't want to be in the front, don't need to let nobody know they were there, but will help the hell out of you.
Okay.
There's a need. I used to be like, well, how come people don't want to be at the top and be at the best? Be the best. Well, because there's not room for everybody at the top in multiple different ways. There's not room. And those people at the bottom are your rock, and they hold you up. And if you are one of those people with a preference, I'm not saying you're put at the bottom. I'm saying one of those people with a preference to be at the bottom and lift others up, you're probably more important than that person who wants to be at the top.
Absolutely.
So I'm hearing a lot of people are jumping in my DMs, which, you know, I always welcome jumping in DMs if you got questions. And they're asking me questions. Well, how did you get there? What made you decide? Or they're looking at my other podcasts where I talked about, I knew that this is what I wanted to do. I would jump on the bus at 2 a.m. from DC, get to New York at 7 a.m., work all day and go back home because I couldn't afford the hotel. So people are starting to realize life is what you're willing to fight for. There are a few things we can't control, and I never jump over that. But what are you willing to fight for to go where you want to go? People are starting to realize, you know, I'm your sister. I'm a reflection of you. Anything I can do, you can do as well. So maybe those excuses aren't working. And when you're at home, you can't be out and about. You can't come up with a distraction. You probably can't do your vice. You can't go to work, and you don't have nothing but you.
Yeah.
You better look into yourself and come up with a new plan. And I think that it's leading to positivity. I think that maybe on day 5 of quarantine, you had all the excuses, but day 25, you're like, okay, I've been lying to myself. Yeah. I've been lying. Let me come up with something different, you know?
Yeah, and we talked about this earlier too before we went live. I think in the beginning, everyone probably was like, oh, this is going to be 2 weeks, we'll be back out. Oh, you know, maybe even a few days. But now we're on week 6 and we still don't have any answers, you know, or even longer for some of us. And to your point, you got to stop making the excuses now. Like there's no more excuses. And now we're at a point where we have to begin to search for answers and shift our perspective. And granted, you know, there's still a ton of things happening out in the world. But again, going back to what I said earlier, at the end of the day, we have 2 choices and only 2 choices. You can be crushed during this time. So feel your emotions, allow yourself to feel it. Don't run away from it. Feel it, purge it, be in it. And then but don't live there, right? Don't let it, someone said on social media the other day, don't let your sorrowful moments be a period, but instead let it be a comma. Right. Absolutely. And so have your moment, put your comma, and now figure out how do you finish? How do you charge on? And I think now with us going on week 6, 8, or whatever number we're on, people are looking for a way to recharge now. How can we march on up out of this? And that's what 2020 Impact is. How can we collectively come together and not only survive this, but thrive coming out of it? So yeah, that's really powerful. And so ladies, dropping in Monae's Instagram handle and my Instagram handle again, for those of you who just joined or who may not have saw it. Tag us on Instagram or social, Twitter, Facebook, wherever. Take a picture, a screenshot, or whatever it is that you need to do. Let's keep the party, keep the vibes up and the momentum going.
I'm so happy that you have Pretty Passionate, because I was just thinking the one thing that we all have in common, every single human being, is that we know people who live life with regrets. They made decisions that they're not proud of. Yeah. And something like Pretty Passionate helps you to find your own vision so you don't have to be. That's another choice. Do you want to be to someone else, the person that lived their life full of regrets, or do you want to go after what you can get?
Absolutely, man. You know, I'm gonna tell real quick this story that I heard, and I might chop it up, so I apologize in advance. But basically, I think I heard it from a few different people, and there's a few different versions of it. So you guys may have heard some form of it, but I heard it from Les Brown, and basically, he talks about being or speaking to a man, and he was on like his deathbed. You know, he was on his deathbed, he was in the hospital, and all these people were around him, and or no, actually I think he went to the cemetery, and he saw like all these boxes or whatever in the cemetery, and he asked God, like, what are in these boxes? And he was like, well, go ahead and open it. And when he opened up these boxes, there were all the gifts, all the potential, all of the lives, all of the value, all of the promises that he was supposed to receive in his life while he was living. And literally he forfeited it all because of fear, because of laziness, because of complacency, because of being too comfortable, because of not going after it. Whereas it was like, I had all of these gifts for you. You know what I'm saying? And you left them here. And I think we're pretty passionate. The charge is like, how can we seize everything? And I'm like, we got to be aggressive. Like, this is mine. I deserve this. I put in this work and this is mine. And so to your point about, I think right now it's helping us to really wake up and see what am I entitled to? Like, this is my inheritance and I want it. And how do I go after it and get
Absolutely.
it? So
how do we break those generational curses? You know, a lot of those people full of regrets when that we literally are our ancestors' wildest dreams. They could not possibly see the opportunities that we have now. And yeah, we're stuck in house now. Take your time to think about, well, what can I do differently?
Absolutely. And you know, what always gets me in check when it comes to trying to figure something out or how to do something is I study a lot of the greats. And I started doing this for the past couple of years. A lot of people in history, the greats. So people like, you know, Albert, like Einstein, and like people like, you know, all of these inventors and amazing people. And they started and did amazing things with little to nothing. And they turned it into something. And here we are today, literally with resources at our fingertips. We have social media where it's free marketing and promotion. You have access to conversations like this where you're getting gems on a regular basis. You could literally pick up the phone. You could literally type something in social media. You can go on YouTube and find tons and tons of trainings. So there's no excuse for why we can't create something great when we have proof of people in history who created things that they thought of in their mind with absolutely nothing. You know what I'm saying? So, and we have so much access right now. And so I always get myself in check, like, well, if they could do it, then I could do it.
Absolutely.
So sorry, I just went off on that. I just get so passionate about that type of
It's all good, boo. It's all, that's what we're here for. Passionate, right?
So I want to shift gears a little bit as we talk about, you know, obviously the effects, and the impact. I'm sure we have been seeing the headlines, in terms of how Black people of color, you know, even Latinas are contracting and dying at higher rates from COVID-19, than other races. And I know that we have seen, you know, across social media and in the media and so forth, celebrities in Black media outlets like BET who have rang the alarm, right? They've taken a stand. Yeah. They jumped up and they, I know Diddy did like the revolt kind of state of emergency kind of conversation and then action. And so that could leave us, you know, the regular people, or maybe people who don't have the type of access, or maybe who don't have the platform, trying to be like, well, what can I do? You know what I'm saying? And we kind of push it off and push it to the background, because we don't feel like we can do anything and we can make a difference. But, you know, with me, it really hit me when I started to see those headlines, and I got super emotional about it. And I said, you know what? I took inventory of what I have. And I was like, I have the Pretty Passionate platform, I have 2020 Impact, and I have access to amazing people like yourself, who, you know, we can come together and collectively figure out a community plan. As I know, I heard Angela Rye and Alexandria Cortez mention, even if it's on a local level.
Yeah.
And so I want to ask you, what are some ways that you've seen hairstylists in your industry, or have you seen hairstylists in your industry band together to help each other out?
I have not seen enough of that. And I think because we're still at the point where individuals are going through it, it's hard to see it as a crowd. I think when Corona was first presented and first discussed in the US, we were falsely told that Black people could not get it.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people ran with that. But I think a lot of this is like what I touched on earlier, it's emotional and mental. And a lot of people either cannot deal with the idea of being victimized and having something just happen to them. And also, not all, but many minorities that I know personally, they are struggling to get through their everyday. They just can't deal with this unknown plague here. It's like the people who, you tell them, I can give you $200 right now or $2,000 next month. If they have nothing, they're going to choose the 200 right now because they don't know if they're going to be able to find you next month.
Yeah.
So some of the things, some of the things that I would like to see, I guess I've seen a little of this is like Georgia reopened for barbershops and beauty shops. I've seen them collectively say, we're not going to open. I don't believe it's safe yet. And that is a sacrifice to do. That is being able, you don't what people need their income for. And they could have waited. Why didn't you say simply do not know where their dollars go?
Wow.
Other things that I've seen are full lists of like Black-owned beauty supply store, like Sadaya Beauty is Black-owned everything, and they're compiling list of Black-owned beauty supply store, Black-owned retailers, Black-owned beauty anything. So I'm happy to see that, but I'm not seeing a lot of gatherings in a way that I would like, but that can only change. I don't want to say things are not coming to mind, but like the Natural Hair Beauty Association, I am getting emails from them where they're teaching how to properly clean your salon, the things, how to move forward during this time. So I don't know that a lot is jumping out at me. I'm seeing a lot of online education for free, or reduced prices. I don't know if a whole lot is jumping out to me, but people are doing what they can. And I think as time on, and the companies, we will see larger efforts. What I'd like to say for individuals is this has become a very techie thing. Like we're getting information from technology. There are mobile drive-ups for testing and things like that. And you have a lot of older people in your community who are just not in this technology world. So they may not understand how they're being targeted. They may not see the stats changing. They may not understand the importance of masks and social distancing. I have my, every other day arguments with people about the importance of it. I think that when you love people, it's worth it for you to keep, being in their face and having these conversations and explaining. The first human reaction is always fear and negativity, but work a little harder. And one day you might get across to them. You don't want to lose people. You don't want to know people that are sick, just like they don't want to get sick. So, do whatever you can to get the point across.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right too. Just as time goes on, I think we'll start to see more ways how people are just being creative and how we can band together and really help our community. So one of the ways that I have been thinking, especially just leaning into Pretty Passionate on how, and with the 2020 Impact Movement, is how we can step up and show up. And I'm really big on leaning into your gifts. And we touched a great deal on this earlier in the conversation. But I think just as individuals, even if you're like, I can't go out and physically lift something and change the world and lend a hand, but I think what we can do on our part is really lean into uncovering what our gifts are, right? And how to, and if we know how we can expand those gifts. And to your point earlier about, we all, right now, we are in a space where people are looking for resources because we don't have it. People are looking for how they can maybe do something on their own. And so we all have special gifts and talents that we've been just born with. And I talk a lot about purpose and passion. And so, for example, there's someone out in the world right now that's like, oh my God, I don't know what to do with my hair. I don't know how to
Mm-hmm.
take care of this natural hair or this weave or whatever. And even for some people, it's a mental health issue sometimes, right?
Yeah,
Feeling good about your hair,
absolutely.
you know, and it's directly correlated to their mental health. So they're in need of something that you have as Monae Everett. They're in need of
Yes.
that. You can relieve them of that by simply putting up, you know, what you've been doing. And so I think in this season, it's our responsibility to develop those gifts, right? And so I
Absolutely.
know while a lot of people know that they have these gifts and they have to develop it, a lot of what holds people back is fear, right? Or
Yes.
fear turns into procrastination. Fear also shows up with busy. We say we're busy, but we're really just fearful and we're creating all of these busy things. Fear shows up in so many different ways. And so I don't know, we talk a lot about fear in the Pretty Passionate Insider Network. So I don't know if you have any advice for how someone can get through that fear to expand in their business, whether it's teaching classes, creating an ebook, or whatever that is.
Yeah, so some ways to deal with it are to first acknowledge how you feel. And there's two ways to deal with it. You can work on the small scale of dealing with it, of maybe if you want to do classes, just inviting family and friends in the beginning. You can pre-record them so that they're not live. You can write up bullet points so that you don't really have to interact with people. Or you can do what I do when I'm fearful every time I go live and just do it.
Yeah.
Just know you have the power to block people if they say something you don't like.
Okay.
You don't have to, like, there's nothing you have to deal with because you're already in the comfort of your own home or studio. You know, if you're watching a replay after COVID, wherever you are, this is somewhere that you're comfortable. They physically can't get a hold of you. Words, you know, don't let them hurt you. If they look like they're going to hurt them, block. Previously record. You can even do just audio recordings because podcasts are so popular right now, although, you know, everyone loves to look in your face. Every time I go to give a speech, every time I get on anybody's stage, if I hear a presentation, I am so nervous that I feel like my legs might fall off. Like my legs always lock up and it's like, I can barely move, but you're gonna have to work through it. Think about all the other things in life you've been nervous for and you found a way to work through it. You go to an interview, you're nervous, you met them, you're nervous. Like nerves are normal. It's just what are you gonna do with them next?
Yeah. No, that's great advice. Great advice. I mean, I get fearful every time I'm getting ready to do something as well. And so it's like you feel the fear and you do it anyway, right?
Exactly. That's literally all you can do is feel it and keep moving.
Okay, so I have a few more questions, but I think because I know we're coming up on time here, and so I'm going to really hit on the main ones that I want to get into because oh my God, they get so juicy. So I'm like, I don't know which ones to dive into.
I'm here. Take your time.
Okay, good. Yay! I'm glad you said that. Okay, so let's jump into this piece actually, since we're talking about faith and fear, and we know the opposite of that or being able to actually move in that is faith. And so how has your faith been tested, strengthened, or used to ground you during this time?
How has my faith been used to give me the three options again?
Tested, how has it been strengthened, or used to ground you during this time?
I think it's been all three. Tested because, you know, we're dealing with the plague. Grounded because literally all you have is your faith. You know, I'm making sure to pray. I personally believe in praying. And grounded is in God is saying, look, do you want to flourish or perish? Right. And you can flourish or perish physically or emotionally. And I'm perishing is not on my list of things. Okay. I thought I was working on this flourishing with the pivot and getting the public speaking. You've decided now it's not a good time. So we're going to flourish. And you know, the other day I was thinking this year in general, I wasn't really working a lot and I wasn't happy about it, but I was getting really good jobs. And it just so happened in February, I got a really good public speaking gig in Virginia. And my mom was able to come and see me. And she got extremely sick and hospitalized that same day.
Wow.
And I know that I handled that differently than my siblings, but I'm not normally around her. And when I think back, I just am full of gratitude because I was able to be there. I was able to support myself all year working less jobs. If I had worked more jobs, I would have public transportation system in New York more, where we know that case festering.
Yeah.
If I was so busy, maybe when my mom got sick, I might have agreed with her and said, oh, you don't want to go to the hospital? Okay. But she ended up being in there for a week. She was sick.
Wow.
So sometimes I turn around and I go to my faith and I say, God had my back all year. All year, he was like, Monae, we're going to keep you off the train. We're going to get you to your mama. We're going to give you the big jobs, and we're going to keep you healthy.
Listen.
And I'm like, that was a blessing. So I would say all three.
Yeah.
God just showed me, sit down. Look, he hit me with one of those girls, sat down somewhere. Let me take care of it.
I got
that.
That
down. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Wow. Yeah. I think we've all have leaned in heavily, probably more than we've ever had on our faith with what's happening right now. So
absolutely.
That's pretty amazing. So I want to touch on this a little bit because I have a few makeup artists, people who own spas and hairstylists and different things like that in my network, and they've expressed this to me. And I actually saw a headline where it said, the headline was, "I feel like a criminal." And this came from hairstylists, and it was like hairstylists, trainers, and nail techs risk it all to make house calls.
Yes.
Right. And so I want to talk to you about, because I know some people have experienced their clients calling them, texting them, emailing them.
Yes.
Can I sneak in the back door so you can handle my situation? So how have you experienced that, and how have you navigated through that?
I definitely experienced that, and I get it as oh my God, like a compliment that you do that good of a job. And I will say I have not experienced this as much as the average person because I'm not in a salon at all. Mm-hmm. And a lot of my clients, live all throughout the US, so they don't want to travel. But a few people that I do at home, hell, even my mom was like, okay, but my hair though. Yeah. So I've been walking people through it. I'm referring them to my YouTube channel in terms of the people who are really having the pressure put on them. And the ones who really have that financial strain, my heart goes out to them. It is not easy to follow these requirements. We definitely felt targeted for the states to individually come out and say, not only are we closing all businesses, we are closing down spas, beauty shops, and barber shops. And they outlined many states saying, not only are we closing them, you cannot have one client in the salon at a time. You can't go to their house and they can't come to your house. I'm like, any other time, you don't see us. Mm-hmm. But now we're getting outlined. But up to that is that a lot of states were deregulating hairstylists and trying to take away their license requirements. So now we'll get to see the importance of having somebody licensed because you want to keep things clean and sanitary.
Yeah.
I cannot advise other adults on what to do with their financial requirements. All I can tell you is to educate yourself on being sanitary, try to avoid all costs, and think about who else will be affected. If you go do Miss Jenkins' hair, assuming she's an older woman, she has a higher risk. But then you come home and you're nice, we're going to assume you're nice area. And you can take it to your grandparents, this person, that person. Like they were saying on the news, most of the cases in Southeast U.S. were traced back to a funeral in the beginning of March before we knew better. Can you imagine, to circle it all back, you're trying to do what you feel is best for you, which you should have the right to do as an adult, except for you're literally holding other people's lives in the balance. When I think about that family in South Carolina, one thing every culture has in common is to bury their dead. Mm. So now you're burying multiple more because people just simply didn't know. They came together. So also keep in mind that a lot of times the clients that really value you and are spending the money are not asking you to go and get you. So you really know this for $100. And then what? Then what's the other thing? And how cute they need to look to lay around the house. Well, I guess some people are doing Zoom stuff, but I'm not telling you what to do. All I'm saying is when you are weighing out what you should do, try to make the most informed decision possible. I'm not hating either way. Do what works for you. Rock on, but look at everything involved.
Yeah, just be well informed.
Exactly.
Okay, so as we look and we examine, let's examine, I really want to examine the word visionary for a second, because I think it's really important, especially in this time. And so a visionary is a person who is able to think about or plan the future with imagination, wisdom, or insight,
Yes.
right? And so as we look to the future, I believe that we it will require us to all put our visionary caps on, right? And so that
Absolutely.
we could reimagine what our businesses will look like, reimagine what our projects that we have been working on will look like in our lives, in the world, that and how we're going to show up in the world. And so what advice would you give? I feel like you have been giving us advice all through the night. You have been dropping gems. So let me know if there's any other advice that you would give to beauty professionals, across the board, or even just entrepreneurs in general, either way you would like to go, in this season as we think about reinventing ourselves and our brands.
So visionary seeing into the future, being able to, it also for me is being able to communicate what you're going to do. All of us have specialties, and I like to equate that to speaking a different language. So when you and I were on set, my specialty is hair, yours was marketing. So we're speaking two different languages to each other. You trusted my vision because I was able to communicate. I was able to follow your direction because you were able to communicate that to me. So hardest part of this is figuring out what you want to do, getting grounded in that, and being able to communicate it. Once you get past that, selling. Just don't expect that to happen in a night or two, because that can be a long process, but you really got to give it your all and just tell yourself, you're kind of out of excuses. And, shout out to all the parents who are homeschooling. Shout out to you guys. So I know it's easy. Big ups to you guys. I know it's not easy, but find a couple hours a day to try to come up with something.
Yeah. And I would say to your point, just to add to that, as we begin to wrap up, I have one more question and we'll begin to wrap up. So ladies, if you have any questions for Monae or myself or us for the conversation, just begin to drop them in the chat box or in the Q&A button, because I'm going to ask this last question and then we'll wrap up the session.
We need your questions.
So think of some juicy questions, okay? Even if it's not about COVID-19, even if you just want to be like, oh, what color, how long did it take Monae to get her hair braided? What color lip I got? All those questions are welcome too.
Absolutely.
I wanted to share with you about being able to communicate and just having patience. And like you said, it won't happen overnight. And I would say with Pretty Passionate, I've had the brand for 4 years, and 3 or probably like 2.5 of those years, I was also still working my 9 to 5, which was like 9 to 12, and on the weekends. But I was still working full time and still working on the brand. And when I first started Pretty Passionate, I wasn't clear on exactly who my audience was, exactly who I was speaking to. I just knew I had this idea. And then even when I went full time into my entrepreneurial journey, I got very clear on who my audience is and who I'm speaking to. And that was maybe summer of last year. But now fast forward to present day, March, whatever, are we in March or April? April 27th. See, I'm getting all messed up.
At this point, it don't matter.
April 27th, that has changed yet again, but it's more defined and it's more clear. And I'm able to really express that and communicate that. And I share that story just for anyone on the line who may be struggling with getting to a place of being able to communicate your ideas or communicate your projects, and feeling like it comes overnight, and it doesn't. And also not being afraid to begin. Like, you have to begin, because that's where, again, I'm very spiritual, revelation will happen, epiphanies or whatever. You'll start to learn along the way, and you'll start to refine that and define it as you continue combing through it. And so to your point about being able to communicate that, as you begin to put the wheels in motion, you'll begin to become a better communicator of your craft and what it is that you're doing. So I just wanted to share that story. So coming up on the last question here, I wanted to ask you, what are you most passionate about creating and supporting people with as this situation unfolds?
Two things. So I'm passionate about personal development for those in the beauty industry, specific hairstylists. And I'm also passionate about diversity and inclusion in the beauty industry, specifically those behind the scenes. You'd be surprised what a lack of diversity is behind the scenes. And just in the past few years, are we really starting to have that brought to the light? O Magazine interviewed me, and we discussed how most of the people behind the scenes are unable to do curly or black hair. And a lot of people misunderstand me to say we need more black people to do black hair. What I am saying is all hairstylists should be able to do all hair textures, especially if you are licensed and working at a high level. And I always like to throw in this thing. They make it out that people can't do black hair. Many people can't do curly hair, and they also can't do super straight Asian hair. So you really can only do one type of hair, but you're able to represent brands and work on movie sets and set the trends, and that's just crazy. So my focus is personal development for hairstylists, and I have spoken with financial institutions and other companies about the diversity and inclusion that they're setting with their employees. And then that will carry over to the types of photo shoots that they do, the type of advertisements. They don't realize that they're saying the black dollar is not important, or I believe that they're saying the black dollar is not important to me. But what they're really saying is that only people that are important to me, because there's a lot of people who don't look like them, and you are possibly unintentionally leaving them out. So I don't want to be the person that's always, setting little fires everywhere, but I would like to be the person to open doors for others and challenge people who have been doorkeepers and gate stoppers to see that we are talented, we can do the jobs, we deserve the opportunity. That's the main thing that's holding many of us back, simply the opportunity, not the skill.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And I think as we begin to rebuild our world and whatever that will look like, my hope, I don't want to say I think, because again, I don't know, but my hope is that more of those opportunities will be opened up for us, because just like with what's happening in the African American community, where a lot of these disparities and things, they aren't new, right? But COVID-19 has shined a light on what's actually happening, and I'm hoping that it's happening across the board, where this has shined a light in a lot of areas of our lives, personally, professionally, and in industries across the world. So
absolutely. And everyone's going to need the professionals generally all at once. So not the same day, but in the same, few weeks. So some people will be available, some won't.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's see. Oh, wow, this got good, girl. I'm excited.
Well, if you're gonna take the time to invite me, I'm gonna bring something. I'm a good guest. Invite me wherever you want to go. Oh, and by the way, if anybody's watching and they want any hair care tips, I do have a text list. You can text the word hair, HAIR, to 3777, and I have the tips for you.
Drop that number again. I'm gonna put it right in the chat. HAIR
233-777. Thank you, Lucy.
233-777.
So no 2, it's 33.
Got it.
777.
Boom.
Yes.
Hit her up. And also let us know, before I jump into, we got a few questions. I saw a question from Lucy. Before we jump into that question, let us know where we can find you. I've been dropping your Instagram here, but let us know what are some things that you currently have your hands in right now, and that's available to us, because like I said, we have a ton of people on the line right now who are from different walks of life, who may be looking to break into the industry, who may be looking to level up, and so many. I know you have a lot going on, so let us know what's happening.
Sure. So my Instagram is Monae Everett. You can always find me there. You can also, the Monae Life. Monae is MONAE. and where I have tons of resources, as well as go at your own pace classes where I teach hairstyling, marketing, business acquisition skills for those who want to do hair for photo shoots, as well as level up. If you just like some tips for styling your own hair, my book, Stunning Braids, is also available at themonaelife.com. Or you can check out my YouTube channel with almost 200 videos at Monae Artistry.
Yes, girl. Let us know. Let us know what's going on.
No, I keep you right.
I love it. Okay, so I see Lucy was like, I love your lip color. I don't know if you're talking to me or Monae, but I'm going to say thank you. And Monae, she could say thank you because it looked like.
Thank you, boo. But I'm real late to the game, but this is actually Ruby Woo.
Oh, mine is too. No, mine is Two Face. I'm sorry, mine is Two Face from I forgot, but it's called Two Face or something like that.
Okay, another red that you always see me in. I like to shout out another Black entrepreneur. A lot see me in AJ Crimson's Ruby Who. So today is Mac Ruby Who, but a lot of other times it's AJ Crimson Ruby Who.
Ruby Who.
Yes, exactly.
Well, thank you, Lucy. She said, I am a Pinterest manager, but so long clients have only bartered with me. Any advice on how to charge your worth with confidence, especially being from Mexico?
Lucy, they don't want to pay you? Girl, I understand that. I understand. I'm going to say a little bit, but the right person to ask is Kara. I'm going to just say a little bit. Sometimes you just got to ask for your money. But Kara, I know you're a better person to answer this.
Yes, listen, any advice on charging your worth with confidence? Absolutely. Let me tell you, I talk a lot about owning and uncovering your story, right? Because there's power in your story. And I'm going to say that, and it relates back to what you can charge, because at the end of the day, and you said, especially because you're Mexican, right? And so you can position yourself as, and again, Lucy, I'm not 100% familiar with you, but let's just say, like me, for instance, I'm a Black millennial woman with 10 years of experience in marketing and advertising. And now I do personal development because I went from a full-time career making 6 figures to now being on my own as an entrepreneur and successfully launching my business. I can sell that with confidence because I pulled my story into that, because no one else is going to have my story, right? Be a Black millennial woman who grew up in the hood, who made a way out the hood. So I have the muscle, I have the knowledge. And so I would say, tap into your story and pull it into being a Pinterest manager, and really make the case for how you're able to, again, not sure what exactly your specialty is. And I think, again, niching down, finding your niche in this space as a Pinterest manager is really powerful, because again, this goes back to my marketing, when we try to talk to everybody. So as a Pinterest manager, specifically, who do you help? You know, so is it I help minorities get visibility in the Pinterest space to elevate their business, right? And so when you speak, when you niche down and you find your niche, you can speak specifically to that audience. Then you pull your story and you make your case for why I'm worth the dollar, because I can understand your struggle, because I too am a minority and I've done this. Right. And so I think it's two parts. It's niching down. So finding your niche in that space, because when we try to talk to everybody, we end up talking to nobody. So one, find your niche. And then two, pulling your story out to make the case for why you are the best person to make this happen for them. So I hope that was helpful.
And can I do that? Now, I'm not fully up on Pinterest, but what I keep being told is it's popping. Pinterest, you're getting hundreds of thousands of repins and people are making money. Are there any way that you can do any links that you can monitor the what people are buying, or the people that are going to the websites? So I don't know what you're using, but if they're hiring you without money, I would change all of those links to Bitly's monitor, and then you can turn around and say, these are my proven results. Here are my stats and my numbers. By me managing your Pinterest, this people who went to your website and or bought something, hell, start putting pixels on their website and marketing to them. Market to those people that are, I mean, I don't know, like I have a lot of half ideas. I have a lot of, I'm sorry, my iPhone keeps saying storage not full. Sorry if I keep going black. Okay, so I don't know everything, but I want you to get the money things. So start thinking about how you can have some actual factual numbers, because you have people like me who are like, okay, Pinterest is cool. I didn't know there was money to be made on it. So they might feel like they're doing you a favor. Yeah. Never let somebody be doing you a favor if you're not doing, you know, if you can't use it. I'm sure you're out of favors.
Right, right. Yeah. No, absolutely. I hope that was helpful, Lucy. And, you know, feel free. I'm going to drop the Pretty Passionate Insider Network. I'm going to drop the link, because a lot of what I do with Pretty Passionate is we specifically focus on purpose-driven women who are aspiring entrepreneurs. So they're looking to lean into their purpose to create a thriving business, or new entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs that are looking to take their business to the next level. And literally, it's a community of just badass women. I have some of the members on the line now, and we support each other. We do monthly master classes every month on business, on life in general. So it's not just about business, it's about personal development in full 360, having that approach to life and business. And so tapping into a mind, body, and spirit approach. So we talk about spirituality, law of attraction and manifestation tools, intuition, overcoming fear, developing confidence. And because of my marketing background, we talk a lot about marketing, and look to drop a lot more master classes around marketing, business development, and just a tons of things. So if anyone's interested, you know, please click the link I just dropped in the chat to check out the website. You can shoot me an email at info@prettypassionate, and, you know, we can dive a little bit more, Lucy or anyone else who has questions about it. Nice. Well, this has been great. I don't see any more questions, but ladies, let me know if you guys have any more questions. And Monae, I don't know if you want to say anything before we log off, but I do want us to have a moment where we dancing out to raise our bar.
Oh yeah, I'm with it. I'm thankful for you having me. I look forward to connecting with many of you. If you have any interest in hairstyling and or hairstyling for photo shoots with celebrities, high-end hairstyling, head on over to the Monae Life, and also hit me up at Monae Artistry. DM me.
Boom, boom.
Thank you, Lucy.
And everyone who joined the call. All right, so as we close out today's session, I'm going to put on, let me see what I want to put on here. Got to put on a good.
Let's see.
We can't see y'all, so I need y'all to promise me that you're going to be moving and dancing with me and Monae as we dance out of this conversation now.
Don't leave us by ourselves.
All right, let's see what I want to do here. All right, I'm just going to play this, because this is the first thing that popped up.
I'm with it. Feel like we on set again.
Yeah, it's automatic freezing full of that. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Are y'all dancing?
Girl, I must.
All right, guys. Good night. I hope you guys were dancing. Love you all. Thank you so much, Monae. You were amazing. And also, ladies, you can find this video, this recording of the video will be on prettypassionate.com. So if you want to come back, if you missed the beginning half of it, and for the members, it will be in the Pretty Passionate Insider Network if you guys want to tune back in to soak up more of these gems. All right. Thank you, Monae. Love you. Mwah.
Love you too. Talk to you later.
Bye, guys.